Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Saturday Squash, the weekly mini-pod from the team here at the Golden Shovel Wrestling Podcast, where we like to pick a topic, go head-to-head, pick a winner, and look back at some nostalgic elements of our history as wrestling fans. This week, I've picked a topic, and I'm going to throw over to Ross.
Okay, so today's topic is a doozy. Pick 3 current or former WWE wrestlers that should have been world champions, but yet, for whatever reason, didn't get the accolade. The reasons we can give are, well, whatever the hell we decide based on the 2-minute timer that we're given. And Darren is going to be the adjudicator for who wins.
Now, there is one restriction that we agreed on, and that is they had to have been an active WWE superstar at some point. So there's no turning around and saying, for example, MJF should be a WWE champion, because he's never been there. He is, or has been, a champion elsewhere. As Roscoe said, Daz, it's your turn to mediate this week. Do you want to give us your referee's instructions?
Right, gentlemen, same rules apply as always. A clean and fair fight first and foremost. You can employ whatever tactic you like. You can play the round or you can try and play the man, but good luck. I have a poker face on this evening. 2 minutes. We'll go head to head. I will decide. The referee's word is final. And let's not forget, it is WWE titles only. I don't care if they're a 5-time world champion in New Japan. If they have wrestled in the WWE and they weren't world champion, they are fair game. Let's kick off round 1, Ross.
Okay, so my 2 minutes starts now. So I have went for a current WWE superstar who I think we all kind of have thought, certainly we've mentioned it on podcasts, that we think it's a little bit mad that he hasn't had the rocket strapped to him. I actually think it's a little bit crazy that LA Knight has not been given a world title belt. You know, the guy is over as all hell. He's absolutely fantastic on the mic, even though he's kind of just Stone Cold again. But everyone loves Stone Cold, so that's great. Kids love him. He's already had a couple of US title runs, and he probably should have already had the rocket strapped to him. We actually just spoke on this week's, at the time of recording, episode of the main show, where we said that his match at Clash in Paris was one of the best he's ever had, and I agree. To be fair, I thought he was absolutely great. I know he's only 42, so the ship hasn't sailed, but time was running out, I think, to give him the honours that he most definitely deserves. And I think that this is a guy who you give him a world title. Doesn't need to be a 2-year run, but he could definitely carry that belt for a few months and carry the company for a little bit. So that is my pick for my first round.
Interesting. Saunders rebuttal?
So I'm going to just throw out some context, and I'm going to waste some one time here actually, but I have deliberately picked guys that I had the privilege of at least witnessing for some part of my fandom, and I appreciate the feedback we had on TikTok today. It's been brilliant, but there's certain guys that I couldn't put on this list because I didn't get to enjoy them. Somebody like Mr. Perfect, for example, most of his top tier work predated my interest in professional wrestling. And as much as I do like Ross's pick and I do like LA Knight, I have gone for a 2-time WWE Hall of Famer. One of the greatest Intercontinental Champions of all time. A man who had one of the greatest matches in the history of professional wrestling. And yes, I did watch it for the value of hindsight after this match was put there. I've gone for the guy. I've gone for Razor Ramon Scott Hall. He was never a world champion anywhere else either. That's what's so interesting. He's not one of these guys who had a world title somewhere else and this didn't happen in WWE. The ladder match with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 10 is one of the greatest matches of all time. It was the PWI match of the year 94. It still holds up to this day. It was the match that established a ladder match as a concept and a high-level concept. I know we talk about the tag team title matches from the early 2000s, but that match predates it. WCW World Television Champion, 2-time United States Champion, WCW, 7-time WCW Tag Champ. Obviously, all that work with the NWO as well, and what that did for professional wrestling. But for me, also 4-time IC champion, I mentioned that one match, 2-time Hall of Famer as an individual and as a member of the NWO. The Razor's Edge still being used to this day as a finisher. Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, should have been world champion in the WWE in the 1990s.
Right, okay. Well, starting off
And
hot.
I just want to say that I'm not playing the man because I know that there's a chance that you didn't get to watch him. So I've said this week, I said to Ross before, I've just said that I'm picking 3 guys I want to talk about.
Yeah, so this one's interesting to me because I never really got a chance to watch much of Scott Hall or Razor Ramon in his prime, and I've seen a lot of LA Knight, especially in the last year or so. I've got back into watching weekly episodic television, and there's lots to like about LA Knight. His promo work in particular is very, very good. However, there is also the benefit of what used to be the WWE Network, and I had a chance to go back and watch Scott Hall in retrospect. I haven't seen all of his work because, I have a job, but I have seen the big matches, WrestleMania 10, for example. Watched a lot of his NWO stuff with Hogan. So this is really tricky for me because I've probably seen more of LA Knight's catalogue than Scott Hall's. However, this is purely on the personal basis. I don't believe that LA Knight should be a world champion. I'm going to give round 1 to Scott Hall. Based purely on my own belief of LA Knight. So yes, round 1 to Saunders. Saunders, round 2, you can kick us off in this round.
This is the round where I'm fully expecting the crossover to happen. And I know that if it doesn't happen, you could, on a technicality, disqualify my pick. This guy is a 2-time TNA World Heavyweight Champion. He is a 4-time TNA World Tag Team Champion. He is a TNA World Tag Team Championship Tournament winner and numerous other tag team accolades from TNA. He is a 1-time ECW champion under the WWE guys. So I don't class it as a world title. He's a 1-time US champion, a 1-time hardcore champion, 1-time European champion. He is a multiple-time tag team champion, and he is a bona fide Hall of Famer as part of said tag team. I believe that Matt Hardy should have been a world champion.
Now you're playing the guy.
At some point in the WWE. I love the Hardys. They're my team, and they were my team back in the day. I think that ultimately he spent some time out of the WWE when the product was at a position where he could have been a top guy. That late 2000 period, he could have been World Heavyweight Champion on the B show. And I accepted it would have been the B show. He wouldn't have been the top billing. I just think he was away for the product at that time. I think the feud with Edge, which was essentially a blood feud before that, could have been a world title feud post because he did that as well. I think his work speaks for itself. I think his work with Jeff Hardy speaks for itself. The fact is he did carry TNA at one point as World Heavyweight Champion. I think his work's good enough that for me, we all love the Hardys. Matt Hardy, even if it was a token, a bit like the JSO, can we test this guy out and can we reward him for his years of service and hard work? Matt Hardy should have been a world champion in WWE.
That finished?
Yep, I'm happy. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, Ross, rebuttal to be in with a chance.
Now, I agree that I do love the Hardys because I picked Matt Hardy as actually my number 2 pick, so that's threw a little bit of a span in the works. So I would say that means the number 2 pick is indeed Matt Hardy. But I mean, I've got some time, so I'm just going to wax lyrical for a little bit. That broken Matt Hardy gimmick is some of the most fun that I think most people have had watching wrestling in a while. That was for me, that was one of the first ones, along with the RKOs out of nowhere, that broke through the wrestling sphere and into sort of mainstream media. Like, that was all over your TikToks and Instagram and Twitter feeds for weeks on and months on end. It is absolutely wild to me that this guy has not won this. And obviously the ship has sailed now. That's not going to happen anymore. But I just feel like even though he's had all of these accolades, Saunders was quite quite good to list out literally every single one of them, that it just feels a bit of a shame that he did not win it. So, I mean, the number 2 option, unless Darren is going to decide that someone else off the top of his head is number 2, I think it's Matt Hardy.
Now, I appreciate both of you trying to play the referee here because, as you both know, Matt Hardy is one of my favourite wrestlers of all time, so I could not be in more agreement. However, I am a man of integrity, okay? And Saunders quite rightly pointed out that I probably should disqualify Matt Hardy because he was a world champion as a WWE wrestler for ECW. However, I am also a fair and just referee. This match will end as a double count out. Neither of you will pick up a point for this round, which means Ross can force sudden death and we can go to an honourable mention for both of you to see who can tipple it if Ross can win round 3. And for round 2, the referee will give you one man who I do not believe will be in anybody's who should have been a world champion, right? Here we go. Are you ready? Tatanka. Right? That sounds... And you know what? I'm not even going to give it any rationale.
He's half more honourable mention gone.
I'm not going to even give you an explanation. The guy put in the time. The guy put in the work. The guy was incredible. What a worker. Should have been world champion. Right, Ross. You have 2 minutes to keep yourself in with a shout of winning a version of the Saturday Squash, putting us all 1 versus 1 versus 1.
See if he's picked solos to call by just to play them.
And go.
I'll be fair and I'll just put that one to one side. I took a risk. I took a little bit of a risk here, but
I like risks.
It's someone who is also a
5-time world champion.
He's actually got the belt right now. I took a risk here on someone who has been around for. I mean, if my math is right, he has been in the WWE for pretty much all of your life. In this case,
yeah, I know it is.
Been involved as early as 1998. He's someone that we've brought up recently because of various reasons. He came in through his K-Quick. He is a guy who has won, and I'm gonna list these all out here. 2-time US title, two-time WWF Hardcore title, and I couldn't believe it when I saw this. 54-time,
54-time 24/7
championship holder, and the 2-time Raw / World Tag Teams. So he had once with Kofi Kingston and once with The Miz. He's won a couple of Slammies as well. It is R-Truth. Like, there was a
He was also an NWA World Champion in TNA as well. Don't forget that.
There you go. Fantastic. I mean,
First
the guy,
Black World Champion.
He is a guy who has had a story.
Which side are you on, Saunders?
It's my honourable mention. So I'm talking him up in case it goes to a draw, in which case I can say, well, if you picked him, I'm picking him again.
He's a storied wrestler, right? There was a real want for him to come back. Obviously, we've had some question marks about what on earth that's been done next, but generally speaking, anytime that guy's worked a match, anytime he's given a promo, anytime he's been given time, he's able to always work with whatever he's been given. The guy seems like a pro. And it seems absolutely ludicrous to me that guy has not had a world title strap around his belt, even for 10 minutes, and been cashed in on. Just seems ludicrous to me. So that is my pick.
Okay, R-Truth / K-Quick. Saunders rebuttal.
There's a very important reason as to why I point out that he has been world champion somewhere else at one point back when TNA was big enough to consider their title world title when they had the NWA World Championship. And that is because I have picked a 12-time world champion. And I have taken a massive risk because, again, it's someone that I have watched a lot over the years, mostly in TNA, but I did see a lot of his 90s WCW work through the Friday night WCW Worldwide on Channel 5. A man whose WWE run wasn't particularly big or long, but did consist of some really high-level feuds. A man who has been the 6-time WCW World Heavyweight Champion, a 1-time NWA World Champion in WCW, a 4-time TNA World Heavyweight Champion, and a 1-time NWA World Champion and its TNA guys, as well as numerous of everything else, tag team titles, US titles, secondary titles, Hall of Famer and TNA, 3-time comeback of the year winner, and the number one in the PWI 500 in 1992. I, of course, went for the icon, Sting.
Wow.
And yes, it's a little bit of a cheese because by the time he got to the E, he probably was not in a position to be, even though he did challenge for the title, probably not in a position to carry the brand. He probably should have went there in 2002 with once the big contracts all ran out with all the ex-WCW guys. Their television contracts were obviously with Turner, the network, and then been a world champion back then. So I do accept that. However, it is to me a crime that this man never carried WWE because he was so good and people love him. I watched a lot of him in TNA, and he was like the professional, the guy that was like, it was almost a rite of passage to wrestle on a big show with Sting. And the Scorpion Deathlock, the Stinger Splash, it's all iconic. We've all seen the meme where he takes off the mask and then he's got the paint on. That would have transcended wrestling into pop culture had pop culture existed in the 90s. It didn't. It's hard because it's a guy I watched and loved. It's not a guy that I ever did because as wrestling became this massive thing in the last 20 years, he was up in the other areas and obviously did join the other company in the last few years. But I'm going to rest my case there and just say that Sting versus Kurt Angle and TNA fed families. I love their feuds, and I just think, what a legend this guy is. He is phenomenal, and he should have been a world champion WWE. But I do accept that it shouldn't have necessarily happened in his run. It should have happened 15 years earlier when he didn't have a run, and that's my case.
Okay,
Sting.
So this is tricky because this is no disrespect to R-Truth, but Sting's body of work is far superior to R-Truth's body of work. That's not to say, obviously, R-Truth's a fantastic wrestler, especially in his prime. He was an unbelievable worker. But Sting's body of work massively outweighs that of R-Truth. I am, however, going to invoke a little bit of chaos because, and I do have, not just to make it 1-0 and make it exciting, purely on the basis that R-Truth has pretty much been there his entire career.
And he's never been good enough.
And not been good enough multiple times, and was obviously held back for a long time because of the colour of his skin initially, because they didn't do black champions. That just wasn't a thing in the WWE for a long time. So I'm going to give it to Truth purely on his longevity with the WWE. It's kind of like what you're saying, Saunders, that see had Sting joined the E or the F back then in his prime, it would be an undoubted
he'd be like a 6 or 7 time champion easily.
He would have been world champion, so we wouldn't even be having this conversation. But when Sting did join, I don't think he was necessarily world champion material. So I'm going to give it to Truth.
Do you want to know how old Sting is right now, based on when he was in E? How old do you think Sting is right now?
Sting
just retired last year.
Between 59 and 61. He must be...
I was going to say 60.
66 years old.
Wow.
66 years old.
That must have meant he was about mid to late 40s when he got into the E.
So he signed with the E in 2014. So he would have been mid-50s. 55 when he joined.
It's impressive.
And you wouldn't know because he was still...
I
mean, aye.
Crazy.
I could do a whole episode on Sting, honestly.
Yes, and we won't. Because we don't have the facilities for that.
And it's fucking midnight.
So, here we go. Sudden death. And as I said at the beginning, referees' rules are final, which means nobody already mentioned can be used as your wild card pick. I'm giving you 60 seconds for your wild card pick. And I will come to Saunders first.
Bastard.
Saunders, you have 60 seconds starting from now.
So I'm also going to have to take a guy who, although not a WWE lifer, is known for his WWE run. And he's a guy who I think spent a lot of his early time in the E or the F, sort of late 90s, early 2000s, as a little bit of a comedy character. However, he held gold, held the IC titles, the European title mostly, some tag titles, some everything else. I think that William Regal should have been world champion because he he told a story in the ring every time he went out there. There's a reason that he was the GM of Black and Gold, and there's a reason that AEW wanted him, and there's a reason that Triple H wanted him back as soon as he could, because he knows the business better than anyone else. And I think that actually now he'd have a better chance because there's a little bit of an acceptance of the technical wrestling ability of somebody like that. He is Daniel Bryan, but better. That's my closing statement.
Wow. Wow. Oh wow, that is a loaded gun. Now, Ross, before I come to you for your rebuttal, I would like you to know that there are people who can win this for you. Okay?
Okay.
There are people out there who it could pip. So
I don't think my pick is going to win, but I think this could be fun. So
Picking Sami Zayn.
that's how you want to know how I want to lose, but no.
I will shut down this podcast. Ross, your 60 seconds starts now.
So it's interesting that you went for someone who's I also went for a British one as well. I went for Wade Barrett. It's actually a one that I find is a really, really interesting one.
It's not who I thought it was.
That's not who I thought it was
has
either.
not held that belt at that point in time. The Nexus were voted as the shocker of the year when they debuted. The feud of the year was Nexus versus John Cena. He was the newcomer of the year in 2010 as well. 5 Intercontinental titles and a King of the Ring under his belt, so to speak. The guy for a while was very much in that front and centre of Cena, who we all say is undeniably the GOAT. I find it mental that at that point in time they didn't chuck a world title belt on him when he was the guy who was in charge of that. I think it would have made sense. I think it would have been interesting. I think he's great on comms. So, yeah, fuck it, why not?
You thought it was British Bulldog, didn't you? Because he was in my list.
I did, and I'm not going to lie. I think it would have been a much easier pick for me if you'd picked the Bulldog. But knowing the way you'd have thought, I'm really torn on this because they're so similar in terms of their attributes. Ooh.
I just want to point out that Wade Barrett was in the core with 2 R's.
I know, but is that Wade Barrett's fault?
No,
I need to bring up William Regal's fucking gimmicks. Yeah, exactly.
That's a throwback.
I'm really trying to find the best way to pick a winner on this.
Do you want to call it a draw and spend 2 minutes picking some more names out and just having some fun? Because I'm enjoying this.
No, I'm going to pick an outright winner, and then we can spend 2 minutes talking about more names. Because I've got a few I want to throw out that you didn't mention.
I've got a list of about 10.
I'm trying to think who at their peak was more convincing that should have been world champion. That's how I'm going to try and make my decision.
I don't think that makes it easier on you.
No, I don't think it makes it easier. Wade Barrett peaked at the end of the Nexus, and then that was it.
Yeah.
But I don't disagree. He's on my list as well.
Right, so this is how I'm going to make my decision. I don't think they ever dropped the ball by not putting the title on Regal. I think the Nexus storyline deserved the world title. But which one of them should have held it, John or Wade? But ultimately, I suppose what I'm saying is if it was John that was holding it, Wade should probably have taken it off him. And Wade should have won the title when they wrestled Randy Orton. Because everything that's what I think's made my mind up. Wade Barrett was a main event superstar at that point in time. He was convincing that he could beat Randy Orton. I'm going to give it to Wade Barrett, and that's odd because when I heard you say William Regal, there was probably 2 names in my head that could have tipped William Regal, and I'm going to tell you who they are because
go for it. I'm interested.
I'm going to tell you who they are because obviously I said Tatanka, which was a little bit tongue in cheek. Rowdy Piper was one of them, and surprisingly enough, $1 Million Man was never a world champion either, and it was 2 names I thought that.
That was his whole gimmick, was trying to buy the title, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was trying to buy the title, and just for the guy to have that gimmick his entire career, basically never succeed, is quite interesting. But look, there's loads. There's Marty Jannetty and stuff like that as well. There's
obviously Owen Hart, who
Owen
quite
Hart,
possibly
who
could have won it.
could have,
And then
yeah.
Bulldog was on my list as well.
Like, even further back, you've got like Paul Orndorff. You know what I mean? Mr. Wonderful. You get the Junkyard Dog. Fucking Jesse Ventura never won a world title. You know, there's so many legends who have never won it.
Like Val
Before
Venus,
you even get into
stuff like
but
that.
do you know who would have? Do you know who would have won instantly if one of you had picked him? What if I was to tell you that they have a sibling who's currently QB1?
Dustin, would you? Oh, I didn't have him. I didn't.
Yeah.
Was he the top 10?
If somebody had told me, if somebody had picked Goldust, I would have automatically awarded them the round.
I didn't have him. He doesn't make my top 10.
Yeah,
That's how far the last season.
Yeah, Dustin Rhodes was incredible.
Rikishi would have probably made you win as well, though, right?
Rikishi's a dog shit. Rikishi's dog shit. But do you know who probably? And I mean, for a pure wrestling perspective, who should have been world champion? But I wouldn't have given you this because I never watched him wrestle. But Arn Anderson was never a world champion.
See, I had him on my list as well, but I couldn't pick them because I didn't get to.
Yeah, 100%.
I didn't get to watch them.
Somebody didn't watch. I wouldn't have given them.
No, so. I saw enough of Scott Hall in WWE until he said I seen enough of him. Same with Sting, but MD else before that, it was just like there was no point in doing that route.
Yeah, which is why I'm impressed at who you picked, Russ, because I thought you might have been doing the Legends route, which would have made it really easy to award Saunders the points because you never actually got a chance to watch them.
Yeah, I tried to stick to what I had a rough idea of. So
yeah, it's a good balanced match. But what that does mean is that after 3 episodes, we are 1-1-1. So
4 episodes because we was abandoned this 1 week, so we had to just talk shit for half an hour
at the Golden Shovel. So next week, Saunders, what is our topic for next week?
Next week we are going to move away from the debate and we're going to just fancy look ahead to WrestleMania next year because we are now starting on the main pod to talk a little bit about the Rumble picture and what that's going to look like. So we're going to get a nice wee baseline. We'll probably pick 6 matches. We'll probably pick 3 in each brand in terms of upper card, middle card, women's division in both, and just slot in what we think, and we'll try and keep it as tight as we can. And then we can revisit it in the next few months. So we'll get a TikTok out before and let you guys get involved in the conversation because that was pretty good today. With that being said, I think that was a complete joke and Sting should have won that for me in the third round. I'm going to turn heel now. I'm going to turn heel.
What part of the referee's decision is final? Do you not understand?
If he's a wanker.
You can't see me.
Aye. I'll see you guys midweek for the normal pod. Take it easy. We'll see you then.
Peace.